الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا
Remaining commentary of Hadith number 9, Simile for fasting as a shield against evil. Fifthly, after having fasted, it is not advisable to fill the stomach completely even with halal food at iftar, because then the object of fasting is spoiled. Whereas fasting helps to diminish one's carnal desires, it also strengthens the angelic qualities of man and increases the illumination of the soul. For 11 months we have been eating and drinking. What harm is there if one eats less for only 1 month? We have a bad habit of filling our bellies at iftar for what was not eaten during the day, and also at sahri in preparation for the day, thus increasing our average consumption. Many such things are eaten which we normally do not eat at other times. In fact, during Ramadan we develop this type of bad habit. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi asks the same question. When the object of fasting is to conquer the dictates of Iblis and our carnal passions, then how can this possibly be done by eating excessively at iftar and thus defeating the objects? Actually, in that case we have only altered the time of eating and have not decreased our food intake. Moreover, by having so many various types of delicacies which we do not have out of Ramadan, and many people also have the habit of keeping special food items for Ramadan. Therefore, after fasting the full day we consume even more than we do in normal times. The result is that instead of lessening the carnal desires, these are considerably increased. The real benefit of fasting comes as a result of actual hunger in the true spirit. Fasting has various worldly objectives and benefits as the observance of religious injunction, which is the ultimate aim. Our Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, Shaitan flows through the body of man like blood, so close up that path by remaining hungry. All the limbs are spiritually nourished when the body is starved, and when the body is starved, then all the limbs are spiritually starved. Another object is that fasting gives us the chance of appreciating the plight of the poor and destitute, and thus engender sympathetic feelings toward them. This could only be attained by remaining hungry, but by filling the stomach with so much delicious food at sahri that one does not feel hungry until iftar. Once a person went to Bishr Hafi. He found the saint shivering from cold in spite of having warm clothes at his side. That person inquired, "Is this a time for taking off clothes?" Bishr rahmatullahi alayhi replied, "There are numerous poor and needy ones. I am unable to sympathize with them. The most I could do is to be like them." The Sufis played for the same attitude in fasting, and so do the Fuqahas. In Marakal Fala it is written, "Do not eat excessively at sahris as the prosperous ones do, for this is the way to lose the object of fasting." Allama Tahtawi writes, "Enduring the pangs of hunger is a cause for increased reward." Similarly, a feeling of sympathy is developed for the poor and hungry ones. Our Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, himself said, Allah does not dislike the feeling of anything to the brim more than he dislikes the feeling of the stomach. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, a few morsels are sufficient to keep one fit. If anyone is bent on eating, he should not overeat. The best amount for a person is that 1/3 should be filled with food, 1/3 with drink, while the other third remains empty. After all, there must have been some reason for which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted continuously for many days on end without eating anything in between. I had seen my teacher Maulana Khalil Ahmed Rahmatullah Alayhi eating only slightly more than one thin handmade bread at iftar and at sahri during the whole month of Ramadan. When any of his near ones used to urge him to eat more, he used to reply, I am not hungry, actually I merely sat down to eat to be with my friends. About Maulana Shah Abdul Rahim Raipuri, may Allah mercy on him, I have heard that in Ramadan he used to fast for days on end, having only a few cups of tea without milk for sahri and iftar. Apart from that, nothing else. Once his most trusted follower and Khalifa Maulana Shah Abdul Qadir Rahmatul Alayhi remarked with an anxiety, Hadrat, you will become quite weak if you do not eat anything. To this Maulana Shah Raipuri Rahmatul Alayhi replied, Praise be to Allah, I am experiencing something of the ecstasy of paradise. May Allah grant us all the ability to follow such pious ones. The sixth point is that after fasting, one should always have fear and anxiety as to whether one's fast had been accepted or rejected by Allah. This should be the case with all worship. One never knows whether some such important thing may have left out about which no notice was taken. One should fear that Allah may reject one's deeds. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Many are the reciters of the Quran who are being cursed by the Quran. He also said, On the day of Qiyamah, one of those with whom Allah shall reckon first shall be a Shahid, martyr in the way of Allah. Allah shall call him and reminding him of Allah's favors bestowed upon him, which the Shahid shall admit. He shall then be asked, What have you done by way of expressing gratitude for those favors? The Shahid shall reply, I had fought in your way till I became a Shahid or martyr. Allah shall reply, Not true. You fought so that you could be called a brave man, and so it was said. Thereafter it shall be commanded that he be pulled with his face on the ground and cast into hell. Thereafter an religious scholar shall be called. He too shall be reminded of Allah's favors and asked the same question. He shall reply, O Allah, I strove to acquire knowledge, taught others, and for your sake I recited Quran. Allah shall say, Not true. You did all that merely to be said that you were learned, and so it was said. Then it shall be commanded that he too be pulled face on the ground and cast into hell. Thereafter a rich man shall be called. He too shall be reminded of Allah's favors. He too shall admit, and in reply to Allah's question as to what he did to express his gratitude, he shall reply, I did not find any other cause wherein I did not spend out charitably for your sake. Allah's reply shall come, Not true, you did all that so that it may be said that you were very generous, and so it was said. Then it shall be commanded that he too be pulled face on the ground and cast into hell. May Allah save us. This is the result of ill-formed intention. Numerous such instances are mentioned in the Hadith. The fasting person must at all times safeguard his intention and at the same time fear for its adulteration. He should also constantly make supplication that Allah Ta'ala makes this a cause for His pleasure. It should also be borne in mind that regarding your act as not being worthy of acceptance is one aspect and your hopes for the infinite grace and mercy of Allah Ta'ala is another aspect. This latter aspect, Allah's graciousness, is unique. At times He converts even misdeeds to be rewardful due to other good deeds that follow the misdeed. Then why be despondent of reward for defective deeds? These 6 things are compulsory for all the righteous ones. As for the exceptionally pious ones, a 7th point is added. That is, during fasting, the heart should not be turned towards anyone else except Allah, so much that during the course of the fast, it is a defect to worry whether there shall be something to eat for iftar. Some shaykh even consider it a fault to think about food for iftar, or that one should endeavor to acquire something, because this shows lack of confidence in Allah's promise of sustenance. In the commentary of Yahya Ulumuddin, the author mentions regarding some mashaikhs that should anything arrive for iftar before the time of iftar, then it was given away, fearing that the heart will now be set on the food for the rest of the day, which in turn would reduce the reliance on Allah. This can of course only be practiced by the exceptionally pious ones. We cannot even imagine having such faith. Should we try to follow that, we may destroy ourselves. The Quran commands fasting has been prescribed for you. The commentators of the Quran say that from this verse it is deduced that fasting is made compulsory for every portion of the body. Thus, fasting of the tongue means abstaining from telling lies, etc. Fasting of the ears means not listening to evil. Fasting of the eyes means not to look at any form of evil and sin. Similarly, fasting of the self means to be free from greed and all carnal desires. Fasting of the heart means casting away from it the love for worldly things. Fasting of the ruh, spirit, means to abstain in this world from the pleasures of the akhirah. Fasting of the mind means avoiding thoughts about the presence of any other being besides Allah.
To get new episodes, click subscribe button.